Good evening, everybody. How are you all this evening? Thank you so much for coming to my webinar. I know a few of you that I can see on Zoom have been here before, so you are very welcome to this webinar tonight. And I also want to say hello to everybody who's joining us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And for anybody who is using those platforms, I can't see you directly in front of me, but if you have any comments or questions or anything at all during the webinar, you can simply pop your comments in, and I have our friend Dita who is keeping an eye on the actual comments, and they'll be able to come into me on Zoom. So I've got everybody in Zoom here beside me. I want to just say hello to you and welcome to the webinar, everybody on Zoom. For all of you, if you have any questions throughout the webinar, you can simply pop your question into the chat. I will ask you for some examples throughout the webinar, or maybe a little bit of participation. You don't have to, but if you could, it would be absolutely great. So I want to just say hello to you individually. Hello, Therese, 123456, whoever you are, Olivia, Marianu, Georgia, Roma, Branimir, Nicholas, and Goodwill. Folks, thank you so much for giving me your time tonight. Now, we're going to make this a very practical webinar. It's going to be very straightforward, and my goal is to help you to learn some information that's going to help you to become stronger in your life, more able to make decisions, worry less, and stop overthinking. Okay, because we're going to be going over the root of the actual problem. But before we start, what I would love to do and love to have you do is, if you don't mind, popping into the chat where you are logging in from. This is my icebreaker at the start of all of my webinars. I would actually genuinely like to find out where everybody is in the world, because sometimes I've got people from Ireland or the UK or Sweden, Germany, people from Pakistan, the States, Canada, Africa. So I really would love to find out where you're logging in from. So if you don't mind, take a moment to type in the chat where you're logging in from, and I would just love to see it. And then I'll introduce myself after that. I'll get you to introduce yourself first. Interesting. I'll introduce myself and then we'll get going. Georgia from London. Hi, Georgia. Mariana from Lisbon. Thank you so much for joining us from Portugal. One of the places I visited as one of my first holidays was in the Algarve. Loved it. Lovely area. Hi, Olivia, Dublin. Great to have you. Nicholas from Canada. Thank you so much, Nicholas, for coming along. And Branimir from Dublin. Great to have you here as well. I see that a couple of people join in. G Green, Lewis, and Nick. Hello. How are you? Basically, if you just don't mind putting where you're logging in from into the chat, that would be great. West coast of Canada. Thank you, Roma. Wonderful. Wonderful. But some of my friends go to work in Canada, northern Canada, Alberta, which is it's a cold area up there, but they really got a lot of great work experience up there. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful part of the world. G Green from Belfast. Hi, thank you for coming along. Goodwill in Dublin, originally from Swaziland. Fantastic. Now, Goodwill, forgive my ignorance, but I have no idea where Swaziland is, and I probably should know. So if you don't mind, Goodwill, do me the favor, just give me some education. Educate me on where Swaziland is, because I just don't know. Lewis from Portugal. Thank you, Lewis, for joining us. Roma, you want to work in Portugal or Ireland? Yeah, both beautiful countries, absolutely beautiful. Mick is from Bray County, Wicklow. Thank you, Mick, for joining us again. Great to have you on board. Okay, folks, so let's go straight into this. I suppose I better introduce myself. My name is Vincent Kelly. I am originally from the southeast Midlands of Ireland. I grew up in a farming area. My dad was a builder. He passed away in 2011, but all of his family are builders. And but I grew up in the countryside, working on farms, that kind of thing. So I got a nice upbringing out in the countryside, fresh air, lots of space, these kind of things. And my parents were very kind. In the late 80s, early 90s, I went to college. I studied personnel management as part of a business studies college course in the late 80s, early 90s. Was kind of doing it because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do in life. And so in 1992, I went traveling, went over to Germany, and this is where I found the subject that I'm going to be talking to you about tonight. I was always very curious about self-improvement and about helping people and about seeing people happy, particularly family members and friends. I just wanted people to be happy, and I wanted to understand people a lot more, because I surely did not understand people, and I definitely didn't understand myself and why I was the way I was, because I was very shy at the time and nervous and all this kind of stuff. So I came across this book, Dianetics. Dia means through, netics means the mind, by this gentleman. His name is L. Ron Hubbard, and it answered a lot of questions that I had about myself and about life and about people. I learned how to apply the procedures in Dianetics, and that was early 92, 93, and it gave great results for other people first, because I tried them on others, and then for myself. And since then, I've been promoting this because I have found it is the only truly workable thing that I have come across that gives stable, concrete results going forward. You know, like I've had a lot of things I checked out while in college, like different self-improvement things, but they were kind of temporary, and I wanted something more permanent. So Dianetics is really gets to the root of what's going on, so you don't have to make all this effort to try and think positively all the time, which can be quite hard. Okay, so let's have a look at this subject first, and we're going to put down this word worry. And what I would like to do is I would like to, first of all, I have an agenda, I have a plan on how I want to present this data to you. But I first of all want to get your opinion first, okay? So what I'd like you to do is, this webinar is called How to Stop Overthinking and Worrying. So I want you to write down in the chat what you think is the cause of that. I want you to write down what you think is the cause of that. What is the cause of worry and overthinking? Now, I'm gearing towards getting two types of answer off you, and I just want to break them down a bit so that, to make it clear what's going on. Okay, Georgia, insecurity. I'm writing these down so that I can refer to them. Thank you, Georgia. Goodwill, Swaziland is Africa, just next to South Africa. Thank you so much, Goodwill. Would love to visit there someday and see what it's like. It would be lovely. Jovita, and hello, Jovita. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Fear. Okay, Olivia, your past. Thank you. G. Green, the unknown, which is another way of kind of saying insecurity. Insecurity is a little bit like fear of the unknown. Mariana, fear. Excellent. Okay, and Roma, unresolved issues. Thank you, Roma. Excellent. Very good. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Now, so let me just break these down. We've got insecurity. We'll put unknown and fear into the insecurity bracket. We've got the past, and we've got unresolved issues. Okay. Very good. So thank you. I was expecting a lot of that. And what I wanted to do was break this down into two categories. So I'll first of all take up Roma's comment at the end, which is basically unresolved issues. Now, of course, they can be from the past, but if you have problems in present time, these can be a source of worry. Okay? Now, what is a problem? A problem is an intention. Okay? In other words, you're at home with your wife and you want to go for a walk. Okay? And there's your wife, and she puts, from your perspective anyway, counter. Intention. Okay? She wants you to cook the dinner. So what you have here is intention, counter-intention. In other words, you have two things meeting each other. But there's a little bit of an extra thing, because who cares? Look, we have this all the time, especially those of us in relationships. You know, you've got one opinion, your partner has a different opinion, or you might have a colleague who's got different opinions to you. These happen all the time. But a problem is essentially this. It's an intention, counter-intention, which is this bit in the middle, that worries the person. Okay? That worries the person. And why does it worry the person? Well, we're going to go over that in part 2 of this webinar. So essentially, when a person has a problem that is, it's very much a kind of equal force on both sides. Equal force. Like, you want to go for a walk, your wife wants you to cook dinner. Okay, so there's equal force. Now, if your wife's intention is bigger than yours, then it's not really going to worry you, because you're going to be cooking the dinner. Or if your enthusiasm for going for a walk is bigger than your wife's intention to get the dinner cooked, then you're likely going to be going for a walk. So let's say we're taking it from the wife's perspective here, and her intention is very high. Okay, she's very good at sales. She's got a very strong intention to get you to cook the dinner. All right. Now, by the way, I'm not speaking from personal experience, or am I? Could be. Okay. Strong intention to get you to cook the dinner. For her, it's not a worry. Yes, it's a problem that you want to go for a walk, but it's not really a worry. So that's what a problem is: an intention, counter-intention that worries the person. All right. And to handle this, obviously, you can start to increase your ability. There are different things that you can do. Write down the different problems in your life, and that can give you definitely relief from worrying. Because essentially, this, as you know, shouldn't really get into the picture. For example, if you're waiting on an exam result, you've done your exam, you did the best you could, the exam result is coming out next week. So why worry? It just doesn't make sense. There's nothing you can do about it at this moment in time. You did what you could. You're going to get the result. But a lot of people between those two times just worry like hell. Right? So problem is an intention, counter-intention that worries the person. So that could be, I don't know, you want as a teenager, you want to go to the disco. I'm thinking in terms of the 80s now. And your parents want you to stay at home. Okay? So it's an intention, counter-intention that worries the person. You promised your girlfriend you'd be there. Your parents don't want to give you the car. So you kind of worry and worry and worrying. All right? But let's say if your intention is to go out with the girlfriend, but you're willing to get on your bicycle and cycle there, it's not going to be a problem. So what our webinar is about tonight is about basically increasing your ability to confront problems and to be able to deal with them so that they're not really a worry to you. Okay? The problem with writing out lists of problems, you generally have to do a lot, and that kind of continues on and on. If you don't handle the root of worrying and overthinking, which I'm going to go over with you tonight. So that's the first thing. Problems in present time can certainly worry you. Even if you're connected with somebody who's a very angry individual, like your boss is very critical of you, or nya 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 nya, and there's that force coming against you. It's only when you think, you know what, I can't handle this, you kind of start worrying about this. You're not going to be able to get on top of it. All right. The next thing I want to go over is a subject that came up with the rest of your answers. And this is the subject of fear, okay, which falls into the category of emotion. Okay. Fear is essentially an emotion. You have this emotion, just like happiness is an emotion, or anger, or sadness, or terror. Okay, it's an emotion. So fear is an emotion. Now, I want to go over this one in a bit more detail. A lot of people, when you ask them about why are you worrying so much, why are you overthinking, the answer you'll get is because I'm anxious, or I'm stressed, or I'm just, I'm not happy, I'm sad, or I'm frustrated. And these all fall into the category of emotion. So most people will try to explain overthinking as being connected to how they feel emotionally. So for example, if the last time you started overthinking of things, you probably were worried, were stressed out over something. So there's an emotion there. So what I want to do is, I want to show you what's behind it. And then I want to tell you exactly what you do to handle this for good. Now, I have to pre-warn you, it's not going to be a 5-minute job. In other words, at our webinar tonight, we're not going to resolve every problem in your life on this one thing. But I hope that at the end of this, you're going to go away with just a little bit of more concrete stability about what's right and wrong in terms of this subject. Okay, so here's the way it pans out. Okay, so there's you, and there are essentially 3 things that are going on. Okay, so you're taking action or effort. Okay, the degree of action and effort that you take in your life, the decisions that you make and you follow through, the persistence is going to be dependent on emotion. In other words, how you feel emotionally. So if you're enthusiastic, you are going to be able to get more done. If you're interested, you'll get a lot done. If you're angry, you'll get something done, but you'll also get destructive things done. If you're anxious or sad or depressed, it's going to be very hard to get things done. So action comes from emotion. Now, emotion has got something senior to that. And that is this subject which we're going to cover tonight, which is thought. Okay? So thought is number 1. When you start thinking, and it could be just a split second, or it could be just a minute, you're thinking, the emotion can trigger off automatically. It's a very, very fast response time between your thinking and your emotion. Dramatic example, you see a bear coming at you, you start thinking, I'm a goner, okay? Emotion's going to kick in. It's going to be immediate anxiety, fear, and stress. And then the action is going to be either run or, I don't know, put salt on yourself so that you'll be nice and tasty for the bear. If your thought is, you know what? I think I can do this. I can get this interview. If that thought is, you know what, I can get this interview, a very light thought, the emotion is going to be interest, it's going to be enthusiasm, and you're actually going to be taking positive action. So this is the area that we want to work out tonight, because sometimes, as you say, your thinking is positive. That's perfect. Everything's going great. When you're thinking clear, it's great. But when you're not thinking clearly, that's going to have an effect on this and this. And this is not new news to you. You already know that if you just think positive, things will work out better. And you've seen this on social media. You've seen it on various different other channels, different philosophies, different approaches to life. Is that if you do have a positive outlook on things, things will go better. That's not new news. The problem with the whole area of just trying to think positive all the time and trying to just force yourself thinking, yeah, I can get up in the morning, oh God, I feel terrible. Okay, Vincent, it's going to be a great day. You're going to be so successful, blah, 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 blah. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. And it does help. The problem is trying to maintain it. As soon as something goes wrong, back down again. And you're having to dig yourself back up again. Read your positive thoughts. Okay, Vincent, you're not such a bad guy after all. So it can be a lot of effort. So what I'm going to tell you tonight is I'm going to tell you what the root of this negative stuff here is and what you can do about it. So now, the next thing I want to go over with you is, and by the way, if you have any questions on what I've gone over so far, please feel free to pop it into the chat. But that's boss there. And there's a beautiful quote from the author of this book, Dianetics. Thought is boss, thought is king. So if your thinking is good, everything's going to flow from that. But it should be naturally positive. There shouldn't really be any effort involved. There's no effort. Down here is effort. There shouldn't be any effort involved in thinking positively. You should be just able to do that naturally, as you do every day with lots of things. Okay, so now let's have a little look at where these things are coming from. And to do that, I want to show you what the 3 parts of an individual are. And I'm going to ask you to participate in 2 very, very tiny exercises to show you. So the thing is, where are these thoughts coming from? Why is it that you worry? Why is it that you overthink? You know you don't need to worry. You know there's not much point. You know there's not much point in overthinking. Yes, thinking is fine, but overthinking, it can be too much. Okay, so 3 parts of an individual. Let me just remove this. It's over here. And draw. Okay, the first thing is the body. Okay, so just have a look at your hands, right? Your arms. There you go. Everybody on this webinar has a body. Now, maybe you're missing an arm or a leg, or I don't know, but you definitely have a body. Okay, so that's the first thing. Body. Fingers is a nice little thing. Okay, the second thing is you have pictures from your past. You're carrying around pictures of things that you have learned in the past. Okay, and it's a bit like you've got a constant, your iPhone, and you're just recording continuously. All right, so you're recording information all the time. So you record pictures from your past. All right, so little short little exercise. Can anybody remember what you had for breakfast yesterday? All right, and pop it into the chat. Can you remember what you had for breakfast yesterday? Not today, yesterday. And pop it into the chat what you can recall. Was it porridge? Was it toast? Did you just have an apple? Did you have brown bread? Did you just have a cup of coffee? What did you have? Okay, Georgia, the same every day, so pretty easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Coffee, okay. Anybody else? Can you remember what you had for breakfast yesterday? Did you have beans on toast? Did you have a rasher and a sausage? Did you have pastry? What did you have? Or maybe you didn't have anything. Branimir, cereals. Great. Excellent. Now, if I got you to actually think more about the cereals, you'd probably be able to remember the taste. You'd probably be able to remember the bowl. You'd probably be able to remember the temperature of the bowl as you're holding it. Lewis, coffee and toast. And again, if I got you to focus on that a bit more, you'd probably be able to remember the taste of the toast and the coffee. Olivia, leftover salad and rice. Wonderful. A nice healthy breakfast, I should say. And again, if I asked you to be able to remember it, you'd be able to see the bowl of rice, the bowl of salad. You'd be able to recall preparing it, who was there, the temperature in the kitchen, the feel of the salad, the plate bowl, everything. Roma, tea and something. Okay, Olivia. Tea and something, Roma. But don't remember what. Well, good. You remember that you had tea. And again, if I asked you to remember the taste of the tea, the temperature of the tea, you'd be able to do that because your mind is recording information all the time. You're recording these pictures of things all the time. But you're not just recording the photograph, you're recording the sounds, the smells, the tastes, your thoughts, your body position, how you feel inside, maybe even a sense of gravity, wind, external motion. You're recording loads and loads of things all the time. Now, what an amazing thing you have. That every day, every second, you're taking everything in. Okay. Whether you can remember or not, maybe you don't remember what you had for breakfast yesterday, doesn't matter, it's still there. And if you were to search for it, you'd find it. Okay, so now we have a little name for this computer that you're carrying around with you that stores all this information. And the name of this is called the mind. Now, not to step on anybody's toes, I would hate to do that, but I do have to say that, in my opinion, purely in my opinion, I think people are labeled with things way too much. You know, the condition of their mind is this or that or the other. You know, you've got coffee drinking disorder, you drink too much coffee, or you've got, I don't know, can't remember what you had with your tea yesterday disorder. So there are certain people that like to label the difficulties that you have in a certain category, and if that's not bad enough, put you into that little category, stick a label on you as having some emotional disorder. They often recommend heavy medication to go with it, pills and different things. And I'm just not in favor of that at all. Never have been. Even since before I got involved in this subject, never interested, didn't think it was right. Of course, if somebody's in pain and there's nothing else that can help, okay, of course, there are circumstances where one would need to take it, but it's being used an awful lot more than it should, and people are being given wrong information and saying, oh, your mind is very complicated. It's actually quite straightforward. Your mind is a collection of pictures in your past, and they're buried stuff, and there's stuff that's available. Okay, so that's the mind. Thank you all for participating in that little demonstration. So that's what we have, the mind. Now we're going to look at part 3. Now, I'm going to, hopefully I don't lose you all on this next statement. We've got the body, we've got the mind, which is a collection of pictures, like a computer. But you are not your body. This is not you. I mean, surely your body is not everything. You're not your computer. You have a computer. You have a computer. You are not your computer. Your mind is a collection of pictures, but you're not those pictures. And let's see how many people I have left after this statement. And you are you. Now, I put that as a separate thing because you can call that what you like. You can call it life force, life energy. You can call it the spiritual part of yourself. It doesn't matter to me. I just call it me. There's me, my body, and my mind. There's you, your body, and your mind. There's 3 elements. Now look, I don't want to get in. Some people say, well, okay, hang on a second. No, I'm my mind because it's my mind that does my thinking. I don't mind. Look, anybody, you can have whatever opinion you want, and I don't mind. But I want to do a little demo on this just to show you something. Okay. So these are 3 parts. Your body, which is pretty easy to see. Your mind, pretty easy to see because we did that. And now let's have a look at this one. You as an individual. Okay, so here's the exercise. I'm going to ask you to, in a second, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and I'm going to ask you to think of something, okay? And then I'm going to ask you a question. Keep your eyes closed. Then I'm going to ask you to open your eyes, and I'm going to ask the question again, and I'm going to ask you to write your answer in the chat. I know that sounds very complicated, but in my mind, it's very straightforward. But when it comes out, it sounds complicated. Okay, so here's the exercise. Close your eyes. Okay, now I don't know if your eyes are closed, but I'm assuming they are. I want you to get a picture of a pet that you knew, dog or cat. Get a picture of a pet that you used to know. Maybe you owned a cat or a dog or a hamster. Okay. Keep your eyes closed. So you've got that picture now. Who is looking at the picture? Just answer that to yourself. Who is looking at the picture? Thank you. You can open your eyes. Now, I'm going to ask you this question again. I want you to put your answer into the chat. Put into the chat who was looking at the picture. I'm interested to see what your answers are. Let me know. I want to wait until I get a collection of answers before I read out so that we're not biased in favor of one answer or the other. Who is looking at the picture? Yeah, got a few answers there. Anybody else? Put whatever you want in. I don't mind what your answer is, honestly. It's your opinion. I don't mind what your answer is. Okie dokie. So I'll read out the answers that I have. Olivia, me. Goodwill, me. Georgia, my mind memory. And G Green, me. Okay. All of those are completely fine. All I wanted to demo and demonstrate to you in this kind of thing was that and Roma, I was, but what you just told us is my thought. Okay, got it. So essentially, all I wanted to demo here is that you are you. And you have pictures. And those pictures are in your mind. Now, what quite often gets kind of mixed up are these two things here. They all get regarded as one, that I am my mind, I am my thinking, I am my pictures. Yes, you are the one that does the thinking. And you use your mind to come up with thoughts and solutions and ideas and decisions. So you're the one that makes the decision based on your analysis of your mind, your pictures from the past, and present time things. So for example, if you're hungry and you say, you know what, I'd love a bowl of ice cream tonight. Well, I'm going to get myself a bowl of ice cream. And then you start thinking, okay, where would be open right now at just gone 8:30 at night Irish time? Where would be open? Okay, Lidl is open until 10 o'clock. Perfect. So I'm going to go to Lidl. So now you've worked out from what information that you've stored in your mind, you know where Lidl is open. So now you go to the fridge and you see, is there any ice cream in the fridge? You go, okay, there's no ice cream in the fridge. Lidl is open until 10 o'clock. Your thought is, I'm going to go to Lidl. So essentially what you're doing is you're analyzing external things and you're also analyzing internal recordings or memories to come up with decisions every single day. Okay, let's take another example. Let's say you decide, I need to go, there's a traffic jam and I need to get to work and it's 3 miles down the road. Okay, so you see the traffic, it's really busy on Google, and you've looked at your pictures here, you didn't learn how to drive, but you did learn how to ride a bike. And you have a bike, so you look at the external and you look at the internal and you go, got it, I'm going to ride my bike to work. That's going to get me faster. That's going to get me there. Now, these are really simple examples. In fact, a lot of these decisions are happening so fast that you hardly even think about them. But they're coming in. You are an extremely fast individual when it comes to thinking. Because the thoughts are coming in really fast. You can just look at something, make a decision, and follow it through. Now, if your mind is in really good condition, and in actual fact, you've got a great bunch of recordings which are quite extensive. If your mind is in really good condition, your thoughts and the way you decide about things is going to be in really good condition. And that's not involving worrying or overthinking, because these are irrational. They don't make sense for you. And once your thinking is positive, I can do it, your emotion is going to follow. In other words, you're going to be more enthusiastic and you're going to be more determined, and then you're going to get more done. So you're the one that makes the decisions. You use your mind to make those decisions, and you also use the external world to evaluate what's the best thing to do here. Can I do it? Should I not do it? Will I do it? Am I positive? Am I not? So for example, if someone says to you, hey, we're having a party tonight and your job is to make a cake. Okay? Now, yes, you go, oh no, how am I going to make a cake? I've never baked a cake before. Worry, worry, worry. So if you're analytically looking at that, you go, okay, my job is to make a cake. You look back here, you've discovered you've never baked a cake. In fact, you don't know anything about cooking. But you decide, you know what? I can actually find out. So you get up your local YouTube video, you write down the instructions, and then you just do it. And so you have a little YouTube instruction video here, and you've got your little note beside you. You remember what to do, and then you do it. If you watched your YouTube video, but you forgot everything, and you forgot that you wrote a note, it wouldn't be much use to you. But the fact that you have a mind, and it helps you along, and you make good decisions. So where's the problem, Vincent? That's all very great. Lovely, Vincent. Thank you for explaining to us all how amazing we are. So where does the problem come? Okay, first of all, there is nothing wrong with the way you think normally. Every day you go about your daily routine, you get the kids to school, you work out solutions to things. Where am I going to get the money for Christmas? What flight should I take if I'm going to visit my son or my daughter or a friend? How should I get to work during traffic? You're using your mind every day, and you have a very powerful part of your mind called the analytical mind. And there's just nothing wrong with it. It's great. Did I spell it right? Analytical. Analytical. Okay. The analytical mind. Because it analyzes things and it sees the differences and similarities, right? So for example, I've got 3 pens here, okay? Okay, so there's 3 pens. One's black and blue, black and red and blue. So if I want to, let's say, draw in black, I can just look at this and go, okay, well, I'll pick this one here. Boom. I can see the differences. I can see the similarities. They're very similar as pens, but they've got differences as well. So I can logically work out which to pick. Now, that's the good news. The bad news is there's a part of your mind that cannot see the difference between these pens. There's a part of your mind which just thinks that pen is the same as that pen, which is the same as that pen. They're all the same pen anyway. There's no difference. It just thinks anything equals anything equals anything. It's an illogical part of the mind. I'm going to tell you how it gets formed. The definition is in page 50 of this book, but I've read it so many times I know it verbatim, so I'm just going to go over the basics of what's in here. Okay. So in everyday life, you're getting on with your business of living and making decisions and working things out. And that's great. However, if you experience a large degree of pain, physical or emotional pain, just like the fuse box in your house turns off the electricity if there's too much power coming through the cables, when there's too much pain, this part of the mind switches off, and the information that happens during that moment is stored in a separate compartment. And we call this, in Dianetics, the reactive mind. Now, why is it called reactive? Because it only reacts, it doesn't think, and it influences your analytical mind, which influences you and your decisions. So there's basically a package of incidents from your past which got stored beneath the surface and which, when triggered, can affect your logical part of your mind, a little bit like how a virus infects a computer. So if you go on a wrong website, you click the link in the email that you thought was from your friend, and then all of a sudden there's all sorts of websites popping up on your computer and you can't control it. That's because a virus has gotten into the computer. And it's a little bit similar in this case. The reactive mind stores up moments of physical and emotional pain. The lights go out up here and it gets stored beneath the conscious awareness. So for example, if you get knocked down by a car, that's a huge amount of pain. You go completely unconscious, but the information is stored. What happened during that incident is stored. Similarly, if you lose a close friend or a family member, huge amount of pain, the lights go out, even not fully, they might not go out fully, but they get dimmed. The information gets stored in here. Maybe not all of it, but quite a portion of it. So what is going on is that there is a portion of your mind beneath the surface which is getting triggered occasionally and is affecting your computer. So let me give you an example of this. Let's say, and I'll just get rid of this writing for a moment. Essentially, what I'm saying is, it's a part of your mind that you're not in control of. And it reacts to things in the external environment. So let me give you a little example of how this works. Okay, so let's first of all take a physical pain. Okay. So let's say when you were 10, you were surrounded by 4 bullies, all wearing black, and each one took their turn to give you a whack on the head with a, a large stick. Okay? So that was a time when you were bullied. And not only that, when you were down on the ground in pain and agony, give you a couple of kicks in the ribs and then tell you, stay down. Okay? Now, while the guy is on the ground, he's partially unconscious, but his reactive mind is recording everything that's going on around him. The sight of the bullies, the fact that they're wearing black, the fact that there's 4 of them, the pain in his head, the stick, and the words, stay down. Okay, so that happened 10 years ago. All right, that's fine. We've all had bad things happen to us. So what? So here he is now, 15 years later, he's 25, he's moved into a new job, and it just happens that in the office where he's working, the people there, due to the nature of the work, have to wear black, okay? They have to wear black, and one of them has a walking stick, all right? And also, they're all pretty aggressive. Intentionally or otherwise, they're all pretty aggressive. So the way the reactive mind works is that it doesn't see the difference between what's happening today and what happened when you were 10. It's got this automatic function in place which is designed to protect you if it considers that what's happening today is the same as what happened before. So if there's enough similarity going on here, this incident is going to get triggered and it's going to replay. So it's going to start feeding in here, and then this person's thoughts are going to get affected. If he doesn't stay away from these people as the reactive mind is guiding him, he can start to feel nervous and so forth, but it has to do with the fact that his thinking is being affected. Now, so he goes into this new job, and there's an opportunity for a promotion. But his thought is, I'm going to stay where I am. I'm going to stay where I am. I'm not going to go for the promotion. I'm going to stay in this job now for the next 10 years. Now, I have a question for you. This is an exercise. Why do you think that thought is kicking in? Why do you think that specific thought, I'm going to stay where I am, that's the best thing to do, because there's not many opportunities for promotion, Yeah, I think I'll stay here now for the next 40 years. I'm not going to move forward. Why? Having had a look at this, why do you think that's his thought? Does anybody want to guess or put in your best answer into the chat? Why is it that he is now thinking that? Okay, good. Anybody else? I'll read them all out in a second. Good. Anybody else? Why is he thinking that? Okay. Georgia. Okay, Javita, yeah. We'll take one more stab at it. Mick feels he is not good enough. Good. Okay, and if anybody else wants to pop in an example, please do. Okay, so Georgia replicates the images of the past experience. Right. Olivia, insecure. Right. G, feels safer to stay. Right. Jovita, because he is feeling that by not doing anything will keep him safe. Good. Feel he is not good enough. Got it. Now, I want to draw your attention. So, folks, you're all almost there. I want to draw your attention to one thing. Remember what was said to the guy during this incident? Words that are spoken to you during moments of pain plus partial or full unconsciousness can get stuck in, and these words can start replaying to a point where a person starts thinking those words about themselves or starts telling them about others. In this particular example, the reason why the guy's having that thought is because that's what they told him. Those were the words recorded during that incident. Now, this could have been a loss, or it could have been anything else. So if there's reduced awareness, if the person's fully or partially unconscious, any words spoken to the person during that moment can also get wrapped up in this incident, and those words can start getting triggered off, and a person can have the strangest of thoughts. If the bullies had said to him, "You're an idiot," during that incident, and this gets triggered off, the person might even start thinking, you know what, I'm an idiot. Or he might start thinking somebody else is an idiot. If the bullies during this moment said to him, "Go away," those words would kick in, and he feels, you know what, I'm not suited to this job, I'm going to go away. Or maybe he's in a relationship and he decides, no, this isn't for me, I'm going to go away. He's not thinking analytically, he's not thinking clearly, he's purely reacting, and he doesn't know it. He thinks that's his thought. He thinks those thoughts are his. Of course, it's coming from him, the thought is coming from him, but he's being fed false information. It's like when you make a cake, right? And you follow the instructions, but there's one of those instructions that's actually false. You're going to come out with the wrong conclusion. So what this part of your mind is doing is it's feeding false information into your mind. You're using that information because you think it's valid, and you're making a decision on that basis. And this is the primary cause of overthinking and worrying. For example, if the bullies had said, "Stay down and think about it," Stay down and think about it. Or think about yourself. Those exact words can start affecting the person in your thinking. There's an absolutely fabulous chapter of this book, which I'm going to promote to you at the end, called Preventive Dianetics, and it explains how if you have a friend or a family member who's experiencing physical pain or unconsciousness, you basically try to be as quiet as possible. Don't say lots of things. Of course, help the person as best you can, but don't start going into a full speech about the nature of life, because those words are also getting packaged in here. Very, very, very interesting in the book. Okay, now I have one more example for you that I wanted to ask you about, and I had it written down here. Okay, now my next exercise for you is this. I want you to have a think about your personal overthinking and worrying, okay? I want you to write in the chat, what is the exact thought, or as close as you possibly can get, the negative thought that you have when you start to think negatively and you start to worry. What is the negative thought that you have as best you can? Look, a lot of this happens so fast and it's going on in the background that you don't even see it. But I just want to see if I can get a few examples. What is the negative thought that you have? Do you think, I'm never going to make it? Or I'm not good enough? Or I hate all men? Or I hate all women? Or everybody's better than me? I'll never be any good at driving. I'm not good looking. I'm not strong enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not young enough. What is the thought that you have? If you don't mind sharing it, I would really appreciate it, because then I have another question for you so that you can analyze that a little bit more. So the question I had for you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is what is the negative thought that you have when that worry and thinkingness kicks in, if you can spot it, okay? Olivia, thank you. I won't read these all out. I just want to acknowledge you because they're kind of personal. A lot of emotional pain that never go away. Thank you, Georgia. Vita, I got it. Jovita, I got that. Thank you. Goodwill, it's over. Then fear of being fair. Got it. Okay. Now, so you've got those thoughts, right? Is it possible that somebody might have said those things to you at some point in the past? Is it possible that somebody said that to you during an incident? Now, maybe your answer is, I haven't a clue, Vincent. Maybe it did, or maybe it didn't. What I'm about to go over with you right now, very briefly, is to show you how to find that. Because a lot of these thoughts that you have, no, but I said that to myself loads of times, yeah. The thing is, right, the things that you say, like, I'm stupid, I'm not good enough, it's never going to go away, it's never going to change, you know in your heart that it doesn't make sense, and you're not happy with it. It just doesn't make sense. Why would you be saying that to yourself? You know it doesn't make sense, but you don't know where it's coming from. Because if you did, you'd be able to change it like that. It's coming from buried stuff that's in the reactive mind. Now, when we talk about solutions to these things, most people will tell me, Vincent, that's easy. All we have to do is change the thought, and everything's fine. And you know what? That does help. And I've seen people that, they can just change their mind. Okay, change your mind, bang. Great. But it's easier said than done. And also, it's kind of tough to maintain it. So in order for you to get to the root of these negative thoughts that you're having, and that the negative thoughts that come in and cause you to overthink and cause you to worry, is to go on a journey of digging. And this is why I told you it's not a 5-minute solution. I don't want to give you something that's just going to be a patch-up job for another day. It's not good enough. It involves digging. It involves finding out how to clear up the pain from the past exactly. Now, The good news is that it is possible for you to completely find these things, clear up the pain, recover your ability, and get rid of these negative thoughts which are affecting you. And that is done by using the technique in book 3, chapter 5 of this book called Dianetics, which I'll explain to you really briefly in 1 minute. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's a whole seminar worth. I want to just explain to you what the root is and what needs to be worked on. This is the root. It's called the reactive mind, and it's a storage of buried physical and emotional pain that gets triggered, affects your mind, which affects your thinking, and that is the major cause of overworrying and anxiety. And the way you handle that is you find out for yourself. It is different for each individual. The exact cause is different for each individual, and this is why I absolutely hate it when people get labeled. Oh, you're a this or you're a that, because each person is totally unique. Okay, now, the procedure in Dianetics, and don't leave the webinar when you hear this, by the way, because it may or may not be the instant solution that you're hoping to come from my webinar tonight. Dianetics is a procedure that you do with 2 people. It could be a friend or a family member. One person acts as the auditor, which is the person who listens and guides, not the person who gives advice or tells you what to think about yourself. Listens and guides. This person has their eyes closed, wide awake in a quiet room, and the auditor is using the exact 10-step procedure in book 3, chapter 5, to help the person to start handling these past upsets one by one. And when you do this and you deal with the upsets that you're aware of, magic happens. Something new crops up that you haven't remembered before. When you clear that up, something new crops up that you haven't remembered before. And then you get to the bottom of the chain, which is basic. Each Dianetic session is not really just about handling one thing that happened to you. Of course, that could really help you. For example, if you lost somebody close to you, it would be so beneficial to clear that up in a Dianetic session, because you would be relieved of it, and it would lose its ability to keep that hold on you and increase your love and appreciation for the person that you lost. But when you handle these things, normally what you're dealing with is a chain of incidents, and it's necessary. Just like peeling an onion, you take away the outer layers to find the core basic. And when you have that basic incident, that's that chain handled, and you'll find that your ability to think starts growing. Your ability to deal with your life starts growing and expanding. And that's just one chain. Let's take an example. Let's say you fell off your bicycle last week. You deal with that, feel better. But there's an earlier one connected to it. You fell off your bicycle a month ago, a year ago, and this is the first time you fell off your bicycle when you were 5 and you really hurt your knee badly. And that's the incident that keeps the whole thing connected. So that's why it's absolutely necessary to find the basic incident, because that's the one that's holding the whole thing in place. But it's very difficult to find that without addressing all these other ones, because you need to pull them off first to be able to find it, because in most cases it's buried. I know I've just kind of given you a snippet of the solution, but I wanted to give you a positive road that you can follow to really handle this thing for good. It's all very well to give you a quick solution and say, okay, just change your mind, write up your list of your problems. And I do recommend that to people in some situations. There's various webinars that I do on how to write down a list of your problems and how to kind of go about approaching life in a much more refreshed way. That's very, very important. And it does help, but it's just not permanent. And what we're dealing with here is recovering the person, getting their ability to think back, getting their energy back, getting their vitality back, and each person can do that. The next step for everybody is education. Don't take this on board just because I said it. I'm experienced in this. I've seen results. I know it works. But it's up to yourself to find that out. So what I'm going to recommend right now is the education step. Before we wrap up this webinar, I'm going to show you what I'm going to recommend for you. And then I'm going to open the floor for any questions that people have, anything that you want to ask, and I'll be happy to answer them in the chat. Okay, so this is the book I want to promote for you tonight. It's called Dianetics, as I showed you throughout the webinar. And I just wrote down a very quick summary of it. It's called Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health. Learn how to permanently resolve the effects of losses and traumas, lack of self-esteem, anxiety and nervousness. You can also put fear into that category, negative thoughts and emotions, and how to regain your full potential. The reactive mind is the primary thing that is holding you back, and it's just a matter of getting that cleared up. This book has been translated into over 50 languages. As far as I know, it's even translated into Zulu and Polish and all sorts of different languages. So you can actually get it in your language. And if you get the book tonight, and this deal will be going on until 9:30 p.m., I'm going to give you this booklet for free. I mentioned to you some practical solutions that you can apply on an immediate basis to kind of help you temporarily. And as I mentioned, you do need that sometimes because you might be waiting for somebody to organize to get auditing from. In this booklet, there are 8 separate techniques, and there's lots of pictures and so forth with this booklet. 8 separate techniques that can help you on a day-to-day basis to help you de-stress your life so that you're worrying less and you're not overthinking and you can actually deal with life better. There's also a free online course that goes with this booklet. So when you get the booklet, you're entitled to go on and do the free online course, and there'll be somebody at the other end of the line which will actually help you through it and help you to apply it. So if you get the Dianetics book tonight, this book here, it's going to be shipped to you straight away with this booklet as well, free of charge, and then the shipping is also covered in that. Okay, folks, so that's what I'd recommend for you. The reason I recommend education is because what I have found when I'm helping people is much, much, much better, and people get much better and faster results if you've looked at it yourself, you've decided yourself, and you haven't gone off just what somebody else says. Okay, read this book yourself. If you're not a great book reader, don't worry. There's a glossary, a beautiful glossary in the back of the workbook for any new terms. The main problem that people have when they're reading books and that they just only want to watch videos is because they were never taught in school, myself included, the importance of making sure that when you're studying anything, you always clear up your words you don't understand. Because if you don't, it leads to confusions and it leads to disinterest. Final thing I want to stress to you is this. This reactive mind does not go away by itself. Yes, you can take a holiday to Mallorca or go to Canada, but it follows you because it's part of your package. It's like the computer that doesn't go away. If you don't handle it, it tends to get worse. Why? Because every time it gets triggered, a new incident gets added to the chain. And after a while, it gets kind of difficult to actually address. So folks, I hope I've helped you tonight to understand a little bit more about why it is that you overthink, why it is that you worry too much. It is not part of you at all. It's not you. It's not you that causes that overthinking. And well, okay, yes, you're part of the thing, but it's majorly being influenced by this package of hidden information, which is feeding false data into your high-powered, we can't even call it a computer because it's far better than any computer ever constructed. Okay, folks, so now what we'll do is we will open the floor to any questions. So if you have a question on what I went over tonight, would you please take this opportunity to pop it into the chat, and I will answer every question to the best of my ability. If you're interested in getting the book, as I mentioned, the link is going to be going up, if it has not gone up already, onto the chat, and that offer will be there until 9:30 tonight if you're interested in availing of it. And if you have any questions on the book, if and when you do get it, you can contact me directly and I'll help you with any specifics that you want or give you some advice on where to go. Okay, so let me just see if there's any questions coming in. Dita says, I just realized that my teacher once pulled my hair really strongly and called me a stupid goose. Got it, yeah. You'd be surprised the things that people say during moments of stress that can actually have an effect on a person later on. And it's really only when you experience auditing yourself in this seat here, when you experience it, that's when you come to realize, oh, the things that happened to you, the things that were said to you while you were experiencing pain were quite incredible and had quite a dramatic effect. Okay, and then I missed this comment. Will I be able to learn enough that will give me the skills I will need? Yeah, okay, G Green, I understand. So it's a negative thought again, it's a worry. But really and truly, it shouldn't even be there. You should be like, from yourself going, you know what? I'm a capable individual. I'm going to be able to learn enough. I'm able to study. Or if I'm not able to study, I can at least learn how to study. Or I can learn how to learn. There's always a positive end of it. And these negative thoughts tend to just come in and get influenced because of your past, because of these past bad experiences. Okay, I'm glad you enjoyed it, G Green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You love the drawings. Wonderful. Georgia, you're very welcome. Olivia, you're very welcome. Jovita, you're very, very welcome. Goodwill, you're very welcome. I'm glad it actually helped. I don't see any more questions coming in. So I'll wrap up with one final little saying. If you do have a sneaky question that you want to pop in there before we wrap up, then let's do it. The bottom line is that there are so many things that can have happened to a person in the past. And you might think, well, the past is the past, Vincent. I move on with my life. I'm just learning things as I'm going, and it's fine. But you would be amazed at how much is buried, and how much, if you start uncovering it, will result in an increase in your ability to think, an increase in your ability, and an increase in your vitality. And those things are absolutely vital to live life, to actually experience life, and to get through those barriers that we all hit. Eric, as a host, mentioned there that if you would like the book on film as well, there's also the DVD. If you're not a book reader, there is the option of the DVD, which is basically a 2-set DVD. It's 32 mini movies, 4.5 hours long, and it goes over all the basics in the book. Personally, I'm a book reader. I recommend the book and the DVD, but if you're not a book reader, by all means, you can get the DVD, and if you contact Eric, he'll be able to provide you with the information about that. Okay, folks, so listen, the chat's going to be able to stay open there for a while. The link is going to be there for anybody interested. I hope you've enjoyed the webinar. Thank you all so much for staying with me to the very end. I really appreciate it. I want to wish you all a lovely rest of your evening. Thank you very much, Eric, for hosting. Olivia, Georgia, Roma, Branimir, Nicholas, Goodwill, Ayi, Jovita, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Take care, and I hope to see you again in the future, or maybe in here someday learning to be an auditor. Okay, folks, bye for now.